can't help but wonder about my fate, my destiny.
What if there's no wrong numbers? Maybe it's always the right number.
Hello?
Mom?
Hello, welcome to What the Flick. We've emerged from the pot smoke haze of our parents' basement to come and talk to you today about Jeff Who Lives at Home, the latest film from the Duplass brothers. I'm Christy Lemire, Matt Atchity, Alonso Duralde, Grae Drake. We're all here and we've all seen this. So we're going to talk about it. Please go.
What?
Describe it. What?
Sorry, I was too high.
I'm sorry.
No, sorry. So Jason Segel plays Jeff, the title character, who lives with his mother in the basement. And he's got one thing he has to do for her birthday: go to the Home Depot, pick up a bottle of wood glue, and fix the door, fix the slat in the door. He gets taken off on a few tangents. He runs into his brother. Things go really crazy over the course of one day in Jeff's life.
Something really big is happening here. My wife is having an affair. We don't know that yet. Let's follow this and see where it leads.
I'm gonna break down the door. That's a terrible idea. I've seen you try to do things physically.
Isn't the most important thing finding someone who sees you exactly as you are?
Yeah. I just want to feel that we both want to be in love. I want it so bad. Dude, you need to say that to her.
Look out! Drake!
Stay in the car. I am fine. Yes, thank you for asking. Good.
So this is a more of a studio-ish kind of film from Mark and Jay Duplass, and yet it still maintains their sense of like indie improvisational, like documentary style. Yeah.
Yes.
Don't call it mumblecore.
No.
Because it's not anymore. We are long since
Right.
past that.
They're yelling,
Yeah.
they're using loud voices now.
But now they have like big stars, you know, Oscar-winning
Right.
people in their films, but they still maintain the sensibility, which I think is really hard to do. But they do it.
These guys just time and time again are making good movies. I like every single one of their movies for different reasons, and Jeff, within the first 5 minutes, had me just won over and loving him and believing in the law of attraction again, and just
What does he do that wins you over so quickly?
The movie starts out with him talking about signs. Okay.
The M. Night Shyamalan
movie. Correct. Really getting into like the mythology of it and like what it makes him believe. And I listen to that so much in real life.
On your show, The Popcorn Mafia.
I know, right? And that it, like, I swear to God, I would kill anyone that ever talked about that movie again, including M. Night if I ever came face to face with him. But the way he did it was just with so much love, and that's the way he does everything. So I was totally on board. He could do anything, and I would just.
I actually was not liking this movie at first.
No?
I thought it kind of bugged me. I thought, oh boy, this is going to be another sort of stupid slacker comedy. But then it goes in these crazy directions that make sense and that are true to the plot as it's set up and as is set up by the signs speech. And I very rarely do this in a movie because usually I can tell early on this is going to work, this isn't going to work. But it took me a good half an hour, 45 minutes, but I did a total 180 and loved this film.
You never know where it's going.
Yeah, after not liking it. And it started, and not to get too film nerdy here, but it started reminding me of Three Colors Red.
Is it the one with Julie Delpy?
No,
that's white.
That's white.
That is extremely.
It's the one with it's the last one in the trilogy because that's another movie that's about seemingly random occurrences and happenstance meetings that then suddenly all weave together and become this bigger thing. And this movie, I don't want to tell about where it's happening, but things that. It goes in what seems to be a random set of circumstances and then all kind of brings them together, but never in a way that makes it feel contrived or ridiculous.
So
It all flows really nicely.
There's a subtlety to this movie that I found I really liked. You know, it starts out with characters that could be really cliched, and yet it's got such an affection for them, and at times, especially the Ed Helms character, doesn't, you know, for at least the first half of the movie, he's very much the cliche.
Ed Helms playing a jerk.
Yeah. Right, but much closer to the way we originally saw his character on The Office, and not the milquetoast he really morphed into. But I really loved this movie, and I came out of it surprisingly moved, especially the end of the film. I found myself, a lot of times, and this is probably a measure of how many movies we see, that it can be hard sometimes, especially when you get cliched characters, you start thinking, okay, I know where this is going. I know what's going to happen here. I had no idea, and I found myself at the end of the film really involved and really concerned about these characters. And it caught me off guard in a way that I completely unexpected. I really like this movie.
Yeah.
I think the story is powerful. I mean, not,
in a very subtle way.
In a very subtle way.
It's moving in a small way, and it's the thing that I came away with is like I really wanted to be like Jeff. I wanted to be like just
Hi,
this
your
lovable
mom's basement.
Yes. I wanted to be just like this person that believed that anything could happen and that I should pay attention to what the world is showing me.
Also, I'm sorry to say that there's this thing with a guy named Kevin, the elusive Kevin he's trying to find.
Mystical Kevin.
I did not even begin to guess who Kevin ended up being. It's a nice surprise who Kevin turns out to be.
Because you keep thinking and you
like,
keep
oh, that's
thinking...
Kevin, that's Kevin.
Right.
You keep thinking that, like, as the cynical, world-friendly person that you are, that you're smarter than Jeff. And you know where it's going, and you know where he's going to end up. And the Duplass brothers, like, they show you that you don't know, and that you're cynical, and you should be like Jeff.
And then it's okay not to know.
Well, and one of the things, we should also talk about Susan Sarandon and her and Rae Dawn Chong
and Judy
as her
Greer
friend at work, and Judy Greer. Like,
also
Greer always is
there's
so
this
good.
side plot about Susan Sarandon at work and a secret admirer, which is really neat. I really like the way
that could have been its own
happened.
movie, I think.
That could have been its
That's
own
actually
movie.
a better movie than the Jeff movie.
I don't know about that.
I do.
But
It was moving.
I thought that was really nicely handled. I like Judy Greer. I like the way that things were happening in the relationship with her and Ed Helms.
And it's like in The Descendants where she's there and she's interesting, and then she gets the scene, where she really just gets to.
And one of the things, and I'm not going to give away how it ends, but what I like about the ending is it's not some gigantic change. I like that the ending itself is subtle.
Consistent with the rest of the movie.
Consistent. You don't see this huge change in any particular character. One or two maybe, but you don't see a huge change, a huge giant, I'm going to be a new person now. It's
a small catharsis, but it's a catharsis nonetheless.
That's what they're good at. That's what they've always been good at doing, kind of recreating little moments, going on a road trip to get a chair.
Yeah.
That kind of BS.
I just did this panel at South by Southwest, and Mark Duplass was on it, and he was saying it was about all these brother filmmaking duos, and I asked, is there a brother filmmaking team out there that you all look to for inspiration? He said the Dardennes.
Of course.
Yeah. Because they take documentary style, really intimate, really stripped down filmmaking, and they apply it to feature stories.
See, I would have guessed he'd say Wachowski.
which one gets the sex change? Who knows?
And also out this week is the Dardennes Kid with a Bike, which is so similar to this that I found myself like thinking about them side by side because they both. French, American, we all can do it.
Yeah.
It brings the world together.
It's amazing. Like they still have like a very closed set. Like they, despite having bigger names, bigger budgets, they still do their improv process like they always did. So anyway, fun to see. Numbers, please. Numbers.
Jason Segel.
Do you think
he's just a charming galoot.
You think he's cute?
I do. I think he's cute in that like that stand back kind of way. Like you aren't like scared by his hotness. He's friendly and he's approachable. And I'm talking too much about this.
Yeah, we've all seen his schlong a lot by now. Okay, numbers, please, Miss Grae.
What did I give this? I gave this an 8.
8.5.
I give it a 9.5.
Is this your biggest number yet?
No, I think I've given stuff a 10. This is one of my biggest numbers. The only thing that I'm taking points away over the crash zooms in this movie.
It is, that
There's
is
a lot of that. Yeah.
Ooh,
it's like watching The
close-ups.
Office, during a line, and then
Like to the point that it felt like they were just fucking around.
and that kind of annoys me too. It's a little subconscious. Still.
Right.
So,
But apart from that, I loved it.
Yeah.
A very high score for me.
But I give it an 8 for that same reason. So that is 8.5, and I think it's doing really, really well tomato-wise as well,
it's
right?
in mid-80s tomato meter-wise. I think it'll end up certified fresh.
There you go. It's limited release, so if it's in your town, go see it. And if it's not, wait till it comes. Buy tickets now. Bye. Take care. Thanks.
Do you like Jeff? Yeah.
Feel like
I'm so excited.